Welcome to Down and Dirty Mandalorian Armor. This is the first time we've actually attempted a panel like this. This was very last minute. They said, hey, we got a spot open for a panel. And I said, oh, let's try to build a set of Mandalorian armor in an hour. Like a smart person. So
if you went to our other panel earlier, forget everything you said about how long it takes to make armor.
yeah, well, we're going to try to attempt the impossible here. So what we've done is, I'll go ahead and introduce everybody we've got here. If you were at our last panel, you probably met, or you probably remember at least the three standing up here front. This is Eddie Lerma. He's the CEO of Terran Clan, which is our Northern California chapter. Sarah Nichols, who's on our approval team. And Tony Johnson, who is our personnel officer for Mandalorian Mercs. He is over the approval process, application process. My name is Tom Hutchins. I'm the founder of the Mandalorian Mercs. And up here,
Jason, I'm on the app team.
Yep, Jason, who's on.
Also local Mandalorian clan, Rusalor.
Right. And
Aaron Surratt, I was a previous Rusalor, which is a kind of a costume, somebody who makes sure that people in the clan know what they're doing.
Our Rusalor is like our sergeant at arms, and they make sure that everybody in the clan that they're an officer of is still within our costume requirements. So they're kind of like our costume judges locally. So you get to know them very well. They're the guys that tell you what you need to fix or if your stuff is good to go or what. So.
And the nice thing about this, guys, is this is what modern looks like. Of course, we all know this. This is like the standard, what Boba and Jango look like. This is what our legacy looks like, okay? A little different, all of it segmented, including the shins and the knees. So these are two different types of armor. We're only gonna be working on this one because this one takes a little bit longer to do. But as you can see, very similar, but the helmets are a little different, as well as the armor plates are differently segmented and spaced.
Now we went ahead and pre-cut our armor pieces, but we brought the scraps. And the back plate actually cracked on us while it was being cut, so we're going to attempt a repair on it so you guys can see exactly how we repair this if it happens. But what we're using is, we talked about this in the Intro to Mercs panel, this is an expanded PVC foam board. It's got several different brand names depending on what country you're from. Here in the US, its most popular brand name is Sintra, but if you go to a sign shop and you ask for Sintra, they're going to say, what is that? Sign shop's the easiest place to get this stuff I've found, or local plastic supply, and they're just going to sell it as an expanded PVC board. Some people call it sign board. I mean, there's lots of different names, but expanded PVC board usually is what everybody recognizes. It's very lightweight. It's not a thermoplastic, but it is very coaxable in heat. You get this hot with the heat gun. Or you can use, some people have used boiling water, some people have used the oven method, which I don't recommend that. I don't recommend that.
That's where you get burned. Especially
if you're married, your wife might divorce you if you use the oven method, so that might not be good to do. Heat gun usually works the best. I've got a couple of Harbor Freight. I'm not plugging any specific one, that's where you get the best bang for the buck, I'm sorry. Harbor Freight tools, these were like $8 a piece with a coupon I printed off the internet. They do high and low. I think the high temperature is like 800 and some degrees. Wear gloves. We have gloves, which you can also purchase at Lowe's or whatever, Home Depot. Harbor Freight has a pack of 5 for $5. We've got hot glue gun. If you're already used to arts and crafts and stuff like that, I know you're going to know about a hot glue gun. Wear gloves. This thing, when it burns you, it does not stop burning you until it gets cool. And if you've ever tried to remove hot glue from a burning finger or whatever, you just burn the rest of your fingers trying to remove it.
This is where you hide your fingerprints if you need to get rid of them real quick. Do
yeah,
this right here.
I'm still suffering from a really bad hot glue gun burn right before we came out here. Hot glue gun sticks, these are dual temperature. I always like to use the high temp sticks because they seem to stick a lot better. Hot glue is basically plastic that you heat up. We have, I don't even know if we'll be using this, but I brought it just in case. I've used these in the past and they work okay sometimes. It's a plastic welding kit. It's basically a soldering iron with it looks like a teardrop kind of tip, and you can use that to join two pieces of plastic together. It's got little plastic welding rods in it. I mean, it's literally a little plastic welder. Pretty neat. That was like $10 at Harbor Freight without the coupon.
Wear protection when using this gear, guys.
Yes. Very important, Bondo or auto body filler. Bondo is the easiest to get. I'm more partial to either feather fill or making your own with micro balloons. It's very easy to do, but Bondo is much easier to get. You can get it at Walmart. It's like $14 for one of these. This is enough Bondo to last for a very long time. The worst mistake people make with Bondo is they glob it on. You do not glob Bondo on. You take little bits of Bondo on with a rubber paddle or use a rubber spatula. Don't use your wife's or your mother's rubber spatula or she'll use it on you. Take a rubber spatula and you gently pull the Bondo down and make it nice and smooth, as smooth as you can before you have to sand it. I've seen people glob it on in big globs and it's like, why are you doing this? Because you're making so much more work for yourself. Okay, and then of course we have sandpaper, which you always need sandpaper. First reason why is because these edges get really sharp. Okay, you want to sand those edges down so they're not so sharp. You also use sandpaper for virtually anything that has to do with edges joining together, things like that. There's several different grits of sandpaper. The lower the number, the more coarse it is. I usually use 80 to 120 depending on what I'm doing. Metal armor doesn't require a lot of sanding. This is what I like to call my bucket of greeblies. It's basically just a bucket of just spare junk that I have taken from all kinds of little places, little doodads, electronic microchips, stuff like that. These are things you can inset into the armor, put into the armor to give it like just some little details. It doesn't have to be much. These are things I've collected over the years. Here's a little casted keypad. You can cast out of resin. You can heat it up, bend it so that it'll go on one of your gauntlets and paint it up.
And the trick to this, guys, isn't just putting it on there. You want to integrate it. This is where Bondo, again, Tom was saying, you don't want to get rid of this because putting a light coat of Bondo on the edges and you sand it out and it looks like it's embedded into the equipment. And that's what you want it to look like, because if you just stick it on, it looks like you just stuck it on. Like I said, these builds normally take a lot longer. We're going to try and do one very fast.
Really fast.
And yeah, it's like I said, it's take your time. You want it to look like you want it to look. And so to do that, you got to just slowly work one little bit at a time.
Two last things here. Templates. You can download templates from the Mandalorian Mercs site. There's a link that says templates and tutorials. Just go to www.mandalorianmercs.com. On the home page, under navigation, there's a link. But these are paper templates that we actually use to cut this central armor out with. They're really easy to deal with. They've got lines. You just cut out on the line like you're back in first grade again. Cut out on the line, you're good to go. I'm sure we all did real well with that. Let's see. That's pretty much it. Okay, glue. This is epoxy. I got the instant setting because I knew we didn't have a lot of time. We wanted to get as much done as we could get done. Very few pieces will actually require this. The cod plate, because it's made out of 2 to 3 different pieces, will require it. Gauntlets may require it if you're gluing stuff to them. You want to get a good, fast setting epoxy. They also make, if you're using plastic, they make something called plastic weld, which is basically an epoxy that works really good on plastic. So that's that. And then last but not least, and probably the most dangerous thing, which is why we use gloves, is our X-Acto knives. Okay? Nothing hurts quicker or worse than an X-Acto knife. And yeah, he's already shaking his hand over here. Some PTSD with an X-Acto knife, I'm guessing.
The real problem is it doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt until you realize you just cut yourself, and then it hurts like crazy. These things will go through you faster than a knife through butter. And I'm talking hot knife through butter. It's just imperative that you wear gloves and just be real careful with X-Acto knives. So we've already cut everything out, so we shouldn't have to use much of the X-Acto knives, but I brought them just in case. And I'm going to have to start the stopwatch here in just a minute because we've almost got just 45 minutes to do this in, so we're going to be, I'm hoping that the Guinness Book of World Records might be here, so we can get an entry in that. Fastest set of Mando armor ever made.
So guys,
right.
if you have any questions, come up to the mic and ask. Myself and Tom will be going back and forth answering questions. while they're working. They're gonna be working very fast, okay? And it's, keep an eye on what they're doing and ask any questions you have. So yes, sir. Can you be the volunteer?
Well, that's a good question. Now, the way this is going to work is we're going to randomly pick somebody. If I know who you are and I know you're already in Mercs or have a Mandalorian costume, I'm probably not going to pick you. But everybody else, I mean, if you want to be the person we build this around, just raise your hand, and I'm just going to walk. I'm going to walk down the aisle and pick somebody.
So even if we don't choose you, I should be seeing a lot of whips
This is-
coming
this
up
is
on
a
our
tough
website here very soon. Remember, I'm a bounty hunter. I will come find you. Unfortunately, I'm not choosing guys. That's going to be Tom.
Jedi mind tricks don't work on me. Only money. Let's see.
Now, guys, here's the nice thing about Bondo. When we heat these things up, we like to curl them around something metal. The reason we like to do this is you don't want to get fingerprints in the armor, okay? You also want to have a really good circular, nice little bend, which unfortunately, if you do by hand.
Him. There we
All right,
go.
we have our volunteer.
Sorry, guys. I had to pick somebody. All right. You get to be the the lucky person. All right.
What we didn't tell him is we're going to be stapling this to his chest as we're putting it
It
on.
won't be super hot. We're going to mold it with our hands as much as possible.
Okay, so, yes, sir.
Now we need to-
You can do enemy props. They've got the Stalker. That's one of my personal favorites. I don't have one yet. That's because my wife says I have too many helmets as it is. So I'm on lockdown until I finish like 3 more kits. But you can get them on Mandalorian Mercs. We have our supply depot. We've got a lot of guys who make a lot of good helmets. Some guys are actually selling pre-made helmets that they just need to get rid of. So there's a lot of options you can use. Just make sure if it's a custom build, we do have our tutorials. Ask questions, please ask questions, because I'm the guy that has to say, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I have to give it straight. The helmet's gone too far. And there is a point of no return on some of this equipment, which is not too bad, but the helmet's the worst part to have to go, I'm gonna need you to get a new helmet. So that's the worst part of my job, unfortunately, is I have to be that guy, but someone has to do it. But we work with you. We'll try to find any which way. Scrapping is the very last thing. I hate wasting plastic, because I can use it anywhere.
Why don't we start from the top?
And it's really hard to stand out. I'm having a lot of trouble with that seam. Have you heard of this helmet or?
Yes.
I tell you.
Yes, for the Django 2-piece, yes. But you do have to get rid of the seam. A lot of our guys use fiberglass. So what?
Instead of bond.
Exactly. And then after the fiberglass, they'll maybe do Bondo. It's a plug and play with those helmets, because there's a lot that has to be done. If you go to our website, we do have an actual step-by-step tutorial, and I'll actually make sure to pin that in the armor section tonight or tomorrow night, so that way you can find it very easily. Oh, right here, sir.
I'm actually making my kit right now, and one of the main problems I have is actually making
Separate device.
I am such a big guy,
All right.
and I will try to do your templates as best as I could, but I still
I think it's medium.
this.
Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions, at least to help?
Yeah,
us?
it's medium.
Well, we've got a lot of guys. We've got a lot of guys who are, bigger boys. I'm not there, but I am there too. Okay. And Tom gives me a hard time all the time because,
Hey, I'm there too, man. What are you talking about?
Since C6, I've put on a little bit more pounds. Basically, guys, it's optical illusion. Okay. For the bigger guys, we can space it out just a little bit more. Wearing black fabrics help because my plates are actually the right size, but they look too small. So it's putting flank plates down here.
Yeah, see, that's one of the problems I really think of. I mean, again, I have all my soft parts, they're done.
Okay.
It's ready to, it's just the plates themselves.
Get with me after this, and we will talk. And if you got pictures, we'll dive right into it.
All right, thanks, man.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. No. We're doing the modern armor. With the legacy guys, the templates is a lot of templates. it's a lot of templates because you got to segment every single piece, and it's fun. It's a lot, but Aaron here can tell you, when we do one of those, we pretty much cord off the garage. Aaron, come down here so I can look at your armor, and we basically leave them alone because there's so many different pieces. We don't want to get them mixed up. As you can see, his segmented knees, his chest, his ab. It's a lot of armor pieces, and we don't want to get those mixed up.
There's no custom. I mean, you have to do all the templates yourself. There's no. I mean, like, you can get inspiration all you want online, but you have to do it to fit your body. And like this, it curves to fit my legs, so I don't think anybody else could really put on these shins, or even this chest, I guess, is a little bigger, so people might be able to get it on. But you got to do it all yourself. Yes. And yeah, I mean, oh, thank you.
Okay, so any question about come on, come to your turn, Aaron. Come to your turn. So let's go. I'll be right back. Let's go see where they're at in the armor process. So as you can see right now, Sarah she's got her gloves on, she's with the heat gun, and she's not holding the armor piece. Here's the trick. If you're holding the armor piece while you're using the heat gun, that piece is gonna, and then you're gonna have a thumbprint in that armor.
I love the sound effects.
So right here, what Eddie's doing is he's curving the top of the cod police armor to the cod plate.
Now notice he's not using gloves, but he's a professional. Don't try that at home. Okay?
He's what we don't do. But as you guys can see, this is the knee. When we brought it in here, it was flat. We curved it around the bondo. You can use anything. You can use a glass. I've come home several times and put myself in the doghouse by using one of my wife's glasses. And I shouldn't use that, so.
And there's a big mistake that people make when they're doing these, is that they make them look like basically like a piece of cutout pipe, because they make them too round. And you want them to be round, but you want them to be squared off at the sides, and that's the way this one is. It's round and then it gets squared. If you made it round all the way, it would look like a piece of pipe around your knee. It just looks. We get more people that get irritated with us because we say, fix your knees. You don't have to worry about us saying that if you make it round and then square it off.
And here's another thing that we're seeing quite a bit of, and I haven't forgot about you, bud. You're here, right there. I haven't forgot about you. Don't use excess armor pieces to segment another armor piece. Do yourself a favor. Make the knees. Don't I have an extra shoulder belt.
Shoulders don't go on the knees.
We're seeing shoulder armor everywhere, and it's a laughing joke amongst the team. But and it's one of those armor pieces you can actually use almost for anything, and it looks okay. But when you really look at the dynamics of it, you're like, a knee looks so much better. Yes, sir. Yes, buddy. A cow scrota kit? We've got, how many cows do we have, Tom?
We only have about 3. There's not many people that do the cow scrota kit, and the 3 that we do have, we share that with the 501st. So we do share the canon characters, the Legends characters also are shared with the 501st, and even with the Rebel Legion. We've got the Sabine character and Obi-Wan in Super Commando gear. I don't think we've had it. Have we not had anybody apply with that yet, or maybe one?
Well, with Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan's for the Rebel Legion, but what you do, you can take the same kit, you take the lightsaber off, put the helmet on, boom, you're a Death Watch grunt.
Right. But secretly, you're Obi-Wan in disguise.
See? Yes, sir.
My question to you is, when it comes to the colors, does the plastic have to already be colored, or what kind of paint?
I actually suggest that if, say he was going to paint his armor blue, I wouldn't want him to do blue. Because when it scratches through, it looks really good when it's a different color, except for white. So that's why I always like to go with black Sentra, because if it scrapes. And unfortunately, my current kit is white Sentra because they sold out and I got impatient. So there we go. I told you guys don't be impatient, and yet I was impatient. So that means I'm gonna have to keep retouching up and painting it. But with the color schemes, and what he was asking is, does it have to be? What was it again? The same color?
Does the plastic have to be that color, and what kind of paint what's the best kind?
Okay, so I like Krylon, guys. I like Krylon, one, because it's cheap, and I do a lot of military gun painting as well. so I can take that paint, put it aside, and use that and paint guns for it. And I do that professionally as well. So I like Krylon because it dries quick. Put it on there 40 minutes, and I do a primer, I do my base color, and then I'm gonna do my accent color. So I'm gonna end up masking taping it off. And the reason I like Krylon, dries quick, and it's a durable set of paint. But there are people that airbrush. Airbrush kits are by far the best kits when it comes to paint, because those are the guys who can put in the details and get those small little areas that I can't get with the paint. One second, I'm gonna get with this gentleman right over here. Yes, sir.
Oh, very true.
Yes, yes.
Do not mix Krylon and Rust-Oleum or Duplicolor or anything like that, especially for that bottom metallic layer. The curant in that metallic layer from one paint often does not mix with the other brand of paint, and you'll get what's called orange peel or alligatoring, and it'll never cure. And you'll get this weird pattern, and it will just flake off. It's awful. Don't do it. Stick with the same brand for the whole way through.
Yes, young man. The reason primer is necessary is you guys know what Velcro is, right? Okay, you know how Velcro has little hooks? Imagine that's what primer is. Primer's kind of got that little hook kind of idea to it. So when you put it over, it's going to bring that other paint in a lot easier. If you ever paint something, just throw some paint on it and then throw the primer on there. You'll notice the primer is going to last. The primer paint material is going to last a lot longer than the other one is.
Now, one of the things we haven't talked about yet is how much the tools cost for you to do one of these sets of like Centra or plastic armor. You heard me talk at the beginning about, okay, well it was $8 for the paint gun and $8 for the plastic welder. I mean, you can go and get most of these tools fairly cheap. You can get everything you need for, under 50 bucks, really. I mean, heat gun, some Bondo, you're looking at $14 for Bondo, $8 for a heat gun, your X-Acto knife, you're talking like $5 or $6 depending on where you get it. If you get the good one, like I got at Lowe's, those things last for so long, and you get the titanium bits, they last forever. I mean, I have not had to buy an X-Acto blade in about a year, and I'm still working off the same 5-pack. So yeah, I mean, they last for a long time. Epoxy, glue, things like that, you're looking at like a $5 investment. So you can get everything you need, gloves and eye protection. Also, you're looking at $5 each at the most. 50 bucks.
The one thing we don't have here, and to me it's the most important tool I use, is a Dremel set.
Yes.
Okay, the reason I like the Dremel set, if you look at the armor, when we cut something, it's got that squared off look. I actually roll mine, and I do that all with the Dremel, and it takes a long time. It's a lot of elbow work, but when you finally finish, it looks like a metal kit. I've had people come up to me, is that metal? No, it's plastic. And unfortunately, someone said, oh, it's metal, and he hit it and knocked my collar plate and knocked it in, and I was like, well, it's plastic, but it's fixable.
Well, the other thing too is if you don't want to drop a whole lot of money on a Dremel, you can go to Harbor Freight again, or Northern Tool. I need to work for these guys, You can go to a Northern Tool or a Harbor Freight, and they have like they call it the rotary tool, and they run like 10 bucks. And it's real small, and it's got several bits on it. It's good enough for plastic. I mean, I'd be careful with it because Centra, as you're going through the PVC board, it's gonna bog it down, so don't go too hard through it or else you'll burn it out. There's $10, you're not gonna get a brick of gold. You're gonna get a brick of something else. So I would use it wisely, knowing how much you've got into it. But those will definitely get you through, and if money is a pinch, you can use a rotary tool from one of the Northern Tool or Harbor Freight, and it works. I bought one for my wife, and she uses it. She uses it to put her Sith costume together. My wife does Sith. She has a Mando too.
So
she
we're
has
gonna
a Sith for special occasions.
So we have an update now. They have just molded the chest armor, and as you can see, what Eddie's doing here is he's not molding it now to the can. Once you get that roll, then you want to mold it to the body, because once the roll's there, it helps give it that clean shape. But you got to get the shape to this guy, because if you look, he's got this washboard stomach. He looks like he works out, and me, I look like I work out too with my soda pop. As you can see, we are not built proportionally. So if we go off of his physique, it's not going to fit on me. So you've got to make sure once you get the mold, then you got to get someone to, as Eddie's been doing, and Jason and Aaron and Sarah, they're molding it to his body. Now, this is where you gotta get close and personal with your friends. So you gotta make sure that, you know what, be professional at all times, okay?
Ask first.
Ask first,
You know?
ask first.
I do metal armor, and I do sets for ladies, and I always ask my wife first. I'm like, look, you know, I'm doing a set for so-and-so. Don't kill me. I'm still here, so obviously I'm doing it right, but always ask, because there does have to be some, you know, placing of pieces. It's just the nature of it. It almost has to be, and that's kind of why we did a male set. We couldn't do a female set in an hour. There's just no way, because every person is different, but for the guys, for the most part, we're mostly similar shape. Girls are completely different sizes in this area. So, I mean, you know, completely different. So, and it really needs a completely different pattern. I had to custom make the chest pattern for the metal sets that I do for ladies, because a standard pattern won't do it.
Does the, on thread, you use a mannequin?
You can.
Yes.
Cut the mannequin in pieces and paint it and use it as armor?
You can. It is. You have to really work on it though, because there's parts there you don't want to be anatomically correct.
Yes.
You know.
And we got to have you fill in the belly button. We've got to have you fill in the other visual parts to it. I don't want to say that. But you got to get that stuff gone. And here's the trick with female armor: you don't cut around it. You got to cut an X into it. The reason you cut an X into it is because if you do it, that's the only way you're going to get the shape from the mannequins. We've done that with several women in our clan, and we learned the hard way. We bought 2 of them, and we completely jacked up the other one, and we had to throw it away. And then I went to tutorial. This is why the Mercs is such a good place to be on. It's like, okay, boom. And I saw it, and boom, called X. I even called Emma, which is our female applicant. I was like, hey, what do I do? And she was able to tell me. So we've got resources to look at. I mean, you can't call everyone like I can, but you can PM us, and I'm on the board 24/7. It's linked to my phone. If I don't have an answer, I'm calling Tom. If Tom doesn't have an answer, well, we're all just up a creek without a paddle.
Well, there's another great technique you can do it's called a duct tape dummy. It's basically it's like making a sewing dummy out of yourself using duct tape. There's a lot of good YouTube videos on it. If you look up making a dress duct tape dummy or duct tape dress form, you will find tons of videos on it on YouTube. And all it is the best way to make it is I always tell people to wear a t-shirt that's like one size too small, so it's very close fitting, form fitting. Take duct tape. I mean, you're gonna want a couple good rolls. I mean, and just go around yourself. You want to make it nice and firm. You know, a nice, good, hard cast of yourself, and then have a friend, of course, has to be with you to do this. And then have your friend that you trust implicitly cut it off of you down the back. You know, and once you have it, you just tape it back together. I use the packing paper that comes in a lot of packages nowadays. I just crinkle that stuff up, or use like bags from grocery bags, little plastic grocery bags, because you can really shove them in good. Tape the armhole shut, tape the neck shut, and tape the bottom shut, and you've got a perfect cast of your torso. Then from that cast, you can work off molding your own armor pieces. I've seen some techniques where ladies have used paper tape, like the shipping tape, to go over the dummy, and then they'll take Bondo or fiberglass with resin, and they'll go over that, smooth it out real good, and they've got perfect plates to fit their body. Now they just cut it right up the center, cut it where it needs to be cut, and they're good to go. So it's not, it's not as hard as it seems. It just takes, a couple extra steps,
You got a question, bud? All right, so the gentleman asked, this is a great question. What do we recommend? My personal favorite, I use it on mine, is Velcro. Now here's why I use Velcro. Because your Velcro is going to wear out. Your armor is going to wear out. Your vest is going to wear out, which happened on my old kit. And if you use these things called snaps, they look phenomenal, but snaps, if you put the kit on wrong and it's out of alignment, which we've had a couple, I have to be the bad guy and say, I need you to move this down. And when that happens, you've got to pretty much tear it off and make a new vest. Unless it's a perfect move, which it really never is, because you're gonna have a gaping hole. And then what it does is it degrades the integrity of the vest once you do it once. So I say Velcro because it's an easy fix. If you break a plate, guess what? You make the new plate, you put it back on. If you make it with a snap, you've got to make that plate completely perfect to the last one.
I use snaps on mine. And the only reason why I do use snaps is because it's harder to pull off of the vest than it is with Velcro. There have been times in troops when you got a little kid that comes up and says, and tries to pull it off of you. I've seen it happen with Velcro. It won't happen with heavy duty snaps. That being said, Tony is very correct. You've got to be extremely patient. And when I'm not using, I'm working on my Mark 6, my 6th version of my armor now, and I'm using magnets with varying poles, so it's like a key. So you could throw the armor at me and it will only stick in one place. So, yeah, I just don't have $1 billion. I wish I did. I'd build a set that would just fly. But anyway, yeah, so that's, I mean, snaps are great, Velcro's great. Some people actually use a bolt-on method where they use Chicago screws and bolt the armor to the vest. Those are really the three predominant, methods. Magnets are one that most people don't like to use because you have to sew little bitty pockets all over the vest for those magnets.
Dar
And they
know
can
how's
be
that
tough.
is.
Do what?
Dar know how's that is.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun. So,
But all these are approved methods.
Right.
Eddie's clan, they use the Chicago screws. I actually had the pleasure of going to training in San Francisco, so I got to go up and hang out with them. And I learned a little bit. You learn stuff as you meet new people. So the Chicago screws, I'm really interested in doing that. But again, you've got to be perfect with your alignment, because if you get that message, hey, you got to move it, it's a devastating move. And it's the one thing we hate to do is have to ask something that big. But again, our job is to make sure the quality control the armor. We want you to look like you walked off a movie set. It doesn't mean you have to have the most amazing armor. Tom's armor is amazing. It's metal. You hit it. It sounds. I've been trying to get him to commission him to do a metal armor for me, but he's been so busy. So I think after C7, I'm gonna, once Felicia lets him do a little bit more, which is gonna be a while. I'm gonna try and get him to do some of mine, because it is metal. If you can finally transition to that, it's amazing how it sounds. It looks. It's phenomenal. And hopefully he's gonna be kitting up over the weekend.
yeah.
Come get a picture with him, guys, because it really is.
It's nice, but it is a very difficult, it is a skill. You can't just, you can't just watch movies and learn it. I mean, you really have to start to learn it from somebody. I teach local members I've got an armory next to my house, and we'll do armor parties, and I'll try to get people out there and teach them how to do it, and hammer the metal and dish it and planish it and all that. It's tough. And it's also extremely heavy. My kit weighs about 80 pounds. And when you're walking around 80 pounds for, several hours, your body has to be used to that. You can't just wake up and do it one morning,
So guys, we're at 20 minutes in, and as of right now, we've got our boot armor, our codpiece, our shoulder bells, our knees, our ab plate, chest, diamond, and collar all shaped to him right now. That's pretty fast. Okay, again, we wouldn't suggest doing it this fast.
we all have, you're looking at about 20 plus years of costuming experience going on here. So it's much easier when you've got that much experience going into it.
And as you can look, we showed you the back plate was split. Right now, we've already got it shaped in there. Now, there's several ways to do this. What you normally want to do is you want to shape this thing first, because then what you're going to want to do on the back side of the armor, this is where the scrap, never throw away scrap Centra, you can epoxy that piece of Centra.
Shim, basically.
Shim. And you're basically doing a quick repair. Leave the crack on the back, because that's when you get to, I use dental tools, and I make all my cracks, my slashes. You actually touch my armor, it's in there. This is the fun part about this, and it's easier to do this with Centra than ABS, because I have bottom armor all ABS. It was really a hard thing to get that dental tool in there and dig in. Centra, it's very easy to draw into it. So then boom, you've already got your natural weathering line for armor already. So who's got some more questions? Yes, sir.
You guys mentioned the vest, and I see they wear almost like a mechanic jumpsuit. What do you recommend for under the armor?
So under the armor, we've got our vest, we've got a flight suit. Now you can go to eBay, guys. I live in West Texas, El Paso. It gets 120 degrees out there. Oh yeah. And I troop in the summer. The last thing I want to be doing is wearing a very heavy flight suit in 120 degree weather, and I do troop in that kind of weather. So Aaron here has got on one of our thin flight suits that we got from eBay, but you don't have to do that. I've got 511 tack pants on. Basically, I would need to remove these pockets right here, which are external pockets and can be removed. because you don't want to have the pockets on here because it does take away from the look. 511 also sells a shirt that looks just like that material, but this color. So it's the same material, same color, same brand, because you need it to look almost identical. And basically, you've got a 2-piece flight suit that will help you stay a little cool, okay?
In contrast to that, I've got my boss at my day job is actually, she sews, she's my seamstress. My Mark V flight suit was a very heavy canvas because of the metal armor. The metal will eat through most other lighter weight fabrics. Because, I mean, even though it's rolled, it's metal. Metal hits metal and it pinches through fabric. So I wore a very heavy canvas flight suit. And I mean, this sucker has no stretch to it. So when you move, the whole thing moves with you. You don't squat down too far, you're singing soprano. It's not very comfortable in certain movements. Trooping at Dragon Con, I've been trooping in that thing for about the last 3 years. And it gets pretty gooey and gushy in there when you've been in, 100 degrees. Yeah, it's 100 degrees or 96 degrees at 100% humidity. It gets pretty gooey. So my new flight suit is actually made out of a more flexible material, a gabardine style type material, and it's much more comfortable.
Yeah, you don't want to be that guy who's left his flight suit in there for several months like Eddie had to experience with one of his members who did not wash his flight suit and had a very tough troop. And when they opened the box, it almost killed him over.
That's when you're fighting the clothes back down.
Yeah. So, yes, sir.
When you're making metal armor, what do you suggest for material?
My personal favorite for myself, I use my torso armor on the front is 14 gauge aluminum. And then for everything below, from everything, the cod and below I use a 16 gauge steel, just a low carbon steel, like a mild steel. And then gauntlets, I used 18 gauge mild steel to make those, but they're basically made off of, it's basically the boba gauntlet that I flipped the pattern and did one on the right too. So it's got key pads on both sides. But there are several small pieces that I welded into the big pieces. So I mean, you gotta, that's why I use the steel, the thicker steel, because it's easier to weld and braze together than something thin you'd blow holes through. So if you're fairly new getting into it, I would say 20 gauge is a good place to start.
Do you use body hammers and hammer and dolly to shape?
I do use some. I use some auto body dollies. I've got some armoring stakes from my days in the SCA when I used to do plate armor in the SCA. I still got some of those and hammers and that kind of stuff. I bought several years back. I bought from Harbor Freight again. I bought a pneumatic planishing hammer. So now I've kind of let that do the work for me. There'll be times like I'm building a set for Mary Franklin, and I went back to the old method of doing everything hand hammered, because you just don't want to not do it. You'll lose it if you don't use it. But yeah, I mean, auto body dollies work great, and a stump. I have a huge stump that I use for dishing, for getting that initial curve in. So just basically like the way they used to do it back in the old days. I mean, the ancient techniques, they still work today.
And Tom keeps hammering on Harbor Freight, guys. There's a reason why a lot of us, including myself, use Harbor Freight. You want your tools to last, because it's not going to be the last time you work on armor. Once you get a technique and you get it down, your buddies are going to come over, hey, show me this. And my specialty is weathering. That's one of the things I'm really good at. Okay, I could not work at all with metal. So, we all build off each other's strengths, and that's how we build it. So when you get these tools, it's good to have some tools that are going to last instead of some tools that are going to break. And when something breaks, usually someone gets hurt, including X-Acto knives. Stabbed myself once because one broke and it just slipped right off right in my arm. It happens.
The main thing is know what level of tool to buy. You got your super duper cheap tools where you can spend $10 or less per tool. That's okay if it's one of those deals where you're having an armor party and several people are going to be using the tool, and it likely it might break, and it's probably going to break or get broken at some point. That's fine. But for your own tools, spend some money. I mean, don't be afraid to spend a little money. Go up to the next step. Go up to the $30 tool or something, because that's your stuff, and you don't want your stuff to break. I don't like broken tools. I have yet to have The only tool I have ever broken in the 8 years I've been doing Star Wars costuming has been a Dremel. I went through 5 Dremels in 8 years. The reason being is because it was my own fault. I overtaxed it and I just destroyed the motor in it. I mean, you know.
And we do that a lot. With
Yes.
the Dremels, once you get used to using a Dremel, you get to where you can perform surgery, you want to use that for everything. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
do. And you don't fall in that trap. Use the stuff that you should be using for it, like sandpaper. I get some of the guys in my client, how do we use the Dremel to sand it? No. Put the elbow grease in because it comes out better. Now, we are at, let's see, 30 minutes in, actually 28 minutes in. They've shaped the armor to them already. So the longest part about this is actually cutting the plates out because you need to do it smoothly, because if you're cutting it out with clippers, what you're gonna end up doing is you're gonna end up snapping the plates like the back plate was, because this Sintra doesn't really hold the shape well flat. Once you bend it, that's when it starts to grip that heat.
It doesn't take crushing well at all. It does not take
Not
crushing.
at all.
So when you go to cut it with scissors or with tin snips or something like that, it just cracks. It doesn't do that type of, you know, I don't know what kind of, what do you call it? It just doesn't do like.
It kind of shatters.
Yeah, it just shatters. It just doesn't take that force well.
But what the X-Acto knife, and then once you shape it, it carries a lot of strength to it after that point.
If I knew you guys were going to be that fast, I should have had y'all cut the armor pieces out too. Jeez.
I know. Where were they this morning?
I know. I was stressing at 9 o'clock this morning. I'm never going to get it cut out in time.
And you know, thanks to one of our members, Bill, he actually sat back there and cut all this out.
Yeah.
He's not here right now, so I just want to give a shout out to Bill because he did an amazing job getting this cut out. Yes, sir. What I do is I do a light cut and I trace it, okay? I don't put much pressure on it, okay? So I'll cut one line and I'll come back and I'll cut a little harder and a little harder, and it takes time. But this way I never snap a piece and I get the line, because if you go hard right away, you're liable to slip. So if you trace it.
Or the other thing, if you go hard right away like that, you're liable to actually miss and cut your finger off. Yeah.
Once you trace it and get that crease in, then you can slowly start it. And I use a pencil method, okay? So I use my index finger and I push down on it. And the farther cut I get, like after the third swipe, I'm pushing kind of hard at that point. So you don't want to use your wife's kitchen table, which I did on my second kit. And I came home to a very upset wife, and my armor pieces in the trash can.
I can't believe you didn't get killed. I would have died.
Yeah, she, luckily I hide the pistols, so she doesn't know where those are at. Yes, sir.
What about cutting out pieces with the Dremel, with a cutoff tool?
I wouldn't cut out with pieces with the Dremel because, again, you want that finesse time. If you're short of time, you could try it, but you're more likely to crack it.
Or eat into it. It'll eat it up too. That's the bad thing. And you'll get the Dremel is great. The problem is it's very messy. It's extraordinarily messy. And because of the speed of it, you're more likely to eat into your armor. And then, oh gosh, I just made this huge. And some things like cracks and things like that work well. A Dremel eats in, you know, where a Dremel has eaten into your armor. There's nothing that makes that look good. It just looks bad. So, go ahead, Eddie.
Hello? And using the Dremel, there's an issue. What foam PVC, it's a composite plastic made up of color dye and other like recycled plastics. It's like the plywood of plastic realm. So you can get air pockets, you can get harder or softer pieces in there. When I used to use the Dremel would catch something or hit it, and it would bounce or grab, it would break your Dremel disc, or it would bounce into the piece that you wanted cutting, and you had to start all over.
Yeah.
So cutting it by hand, I've used the saw, but then again, the saw does the same thing. That metal or cutting disc wants to grab and bounce around, and it's a hassle.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the X-Acto blade takes a little bit longer, but it just ends up giving you a better product in the end. It just, you know, Dremel, the oscillations, there's just too much.
And again, this is where I said earlier, use certain tools for certain things because you want to make sure that you get that crisp look that you're looking for. Yes, sir.
Just adding on to this, if you do use your Dremel, cut about half an inch outside of where your templates are traced, and then use a mouse sander, you know, palm sander, bench grinder, anything that, you know, just sands things down. Get it as close to your template lines as you can. That helps a lot and actually does give plates a good finish on the edge.
And this is where I go with my guys. I always cut our plates big. I always cut them big because I can't name how many times I've come to the problem of, oh man, that's too small. And me being the personnel officer, My client looks like, well, can we space them out? No, let's just, and then I end up doing it because I feel bad because, so now we come to the habit, we cut them long. And if I gotta cut them short, it's actually an easy fix. It's a very, very easy fix cutting them short.
Better to alter it from something big than try to, you can't add on once you cut. I mean, once you cut, you cut. It takes way too much time and resource to try to fix that.
Next question. Yes, sir.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Fiberglass works good. The problem with fiberglass is it is expensive. You're talking about a severe expense because fiberglass polyester resin is not cheap, plus it's extremely toxic. I mean, you got to know what you're doing with fiberglass when you're messing with it because it will make you sick.
Please wear the respirators.
Yes.
I had a new member decide that he was going to do fiberglass, and I had no idea he was doing fiberglass, and he's sitting there cutting into it, and I walk outside, and he's got yellow all over his face, and I'm like, oh man. So let's get him cleaned up and desanitize him, and hopefully I don't have to rush him to the hospital.
When you start sneezing black chunks, that's not a good thing. That, if you've been down into the Mandalorian Mercs booth, that speeder that's sitting out in front, that's actually my first foray into fiberglass. And that, I will never do that again. I mean, it's cool, but I probably lost about 10 years of my life making that thing.
Not to mention his wife will never let him work on
Oh
anything
yeah,
big
that's
like
my
that
mistress,
again.
according to my wife. So that's.
Next question. Yes, sir.
Okay, and this is from earlier when you showed us this little bucket of doodads and extras and whatnot. When it comes to, like you say you judge or you approve a costume to be 100%, is there some kind of limit to what extras you can add to a custom-made costume?
No, not at all. You don't want to overdo it though. I'm a big fan of simple is better. Go with the theme that you want. If your theme is a lot of gadgets, then by all means, that's going to be cool. But make sure it's integrated into the kit. Jason here has a good example of it, okay? See, it's the little Greeblies right here, okay? You don't have to Bondo everything into it. Some of it just sits on you like, man, it looks pretty good. Yep, so.
2 or 3 journal pieces from a Nerf gun that just look right together. And then the other piece is back end off the old Palm Pilot, the battery cover.
What me and my client like to do, we like to go to Goodwill. We call these scavenger hunts, and we have like 12 Goodwills in our hometown, and we actually hit from one to the other all over town. And this is actually how my wrist rocket came into play. I actually have a Spider-Man web shooter that I ripped the top off, and I had to sand the Spider-Man logo off. My wrist rocket sits perfectly inside of it, and I love the way it looks, but you would never know what it is. And you just see so many golden gems. You'll never walk into another Dollar General or a Goodwill again and look like, oh man, what can I use this for?
I'm looking around at some of you guys using your droids and stuff, and I'm already looking at that and saying, man, what can I turn your phone into? Because seriously, you get to the point where you start doing this. It's like I keep every piece of old electronics gear that dies around the house. Another reason my wife is probably slowly hating me. I have this huge, I'm an IT guy, I have my own IT business, so all these old computers are stacked up next to my armory. I'll break them down and I'll start using parts out of them to use in armor, to make into other circuits, to things like that. Because you can repurpose all these old electronics. The LEDs that are in there can be reused again as LEDs. You don't have to spend money on them. There's so many things that you can do, and I just look around and I see myself building things out of all these other things that are around here. It's like, man, I can make that and that and that. It's kind of sick in a way, I guess.
Don't leave us alone with your electronics. They will never be the same.
Hey, you guys don't leave the sound equipment over there because we're liable to turn it into something else.
Yeah, there's a reason they escort us out of the room because we start looking, let's go grab that circuit board. Yes, sir.
Mandalorians were known to assimilate the technology of the civilizations they conquered. So we have become very adept at doing the same thing.
Yeah, when we get into character, we get into character.
Yep. And sometimes real life is the character. We don't even realize it.
Exactly. Yes, ma'am.
Would the website be a source of people that live near you? Because I'm a very visual person, and having someone saying, yeah, this works, or don't try to do it this way with me is very helpful.
Correct. Oh, yes, it would be. Where do you live?
Near Atlanta.
Near Atlanta? Oh, yeah, we've got NASClan right there. Right, Tom?
Do what?
NASClan's in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, NASClan's Georgia and Alabama.
Great group of guys out there. So you get on there. What I tell you is go to the Identify Me thread. Okay, you'll see it at the very top. And introduce yourself. And what will happen is Tom literally lives on this thread, and he's going to welcome almost every member in the club. He
I
does
try
this.
to.
He tries to.
I don't get around to it as much as I used to.
We've got a lot of people that do, and they'll point you where to go, and then you follow that link, and then boom, it sends you right to it. If not, just find the regional section board, which is pretty easy to find, and yours is going to be southeast, and you go there and you look for NAST Clan. That's NAAST, and you click on there and identify yourself, and they'll be more than happy to help you out.
Yeah, we encourage the clan officers to surf that it's called Identify Yourself, that board, and look for people who are posting from their area and guide them to the right place. And for the most part, they do that, and it works out very well. You never really find yourself kind of hanging out in the blue for very long. So we're very welcoming of people. We love to adopt you in.
Okay, so we're not going to have it move too well, okay? As you can see, in 45 minutes, okay, they've attached his armor to him, okay, and this is all the armor he needs to get approved.
Well, other than the gauntlets.
Minus the helmet.
And the gauntlet.
And the gauntlets, I'm sorry. Right, thank you. But it took 45 minutes to do. If you get motivated, you can finish a kit very quickly. We had a guy do his in 3 days. He lived at my house. My wife never let him come back afterwards. But you can finish a kit fast if you're motivated, if you have the time, and you have the patience. Okay, so as we can see, we have his shoulder bells, his collar, his chest plate, his belly plate, his cod plate, his knees, and his boot armor. You turn around, sir. And then we have the back plate. Now look, we have this right here. They've already reinforced it and fixed it. Okay? In the back, they haven't done it, but what we would do if we had the time is we'd mold a piece, put it back here, and then you can really emphasize this cut in a lot of ways for weathering. It looks really gnarly. But this is pretty much what the armor is, guys. It doesn't take much to do. It just takes a little bit of patience. And if you got a clan in your area, look what 4 people can do. Think of what 20 could do. So we have some more questions.
We've got about, I think, 5 more minutes, so it's enough to do a couple more questions.
You don't.
That's a good question. That's probably... I don't know that's a question that I can answer well because my way is very uncommon. I've actually built an air conditioning system in my helmet. That keeps me cool. Most people put fans in. The best thing to use is laptop fans because laptop fans, they have the directional. They push out to the side. So if you can put them near where your key slots are in the back, where you cut out, they'll pull in and then they'll push it around your helmet. So it actually pushes the air around your head and it'll keep your T-visor from fogging up and you'll stay relatively cool. And they're 5 volts, so you can actually run them for a little while on a 9-volt battery fairly well.
Yes, ma'am. We use for the visor, a lot of the guys use welding masks. They're green, but when you put them in the helmet, they look black. You really cannot tell. I've got a colored lens. We've got several people on the Mercs who sell them. I've got a yellow color lens. The problem with it, and the problem with mine, is when you cut it, you got to be careful because then you may lift the tin up. And unfortunately, during my move 2 weeks ago, I kind of messed my helmet up a little bit, fixed it, but after celebration, I'm going to have to rip the visor out and pretty much redo it.
There's a website also called tvisor.com. I've been using their visors since I've been in this. Now, some people complain that they crack them. I've never cracked one.
Excellent visors.
The only time you crack them is if you don't heat them up when you're putting them in. They're laser cut smoky acrylic. They're fairly thick. And if you heat it up while you're putting it in so that it conforms with the helmet, then you don't really have to worry about cracking.
Yeah, they're very excellent.
But they're not cheap either. They're like, it's like $20. Well, I don't know, it's $20 for one chip. That's not bad.
Yes, sir. We do have a clan near Las Vegas. That is, oh man.
That would be Warnsker Clan.
Yes.
They're more near Reno, but they're all of Nevada. But most of them are in Reno. I think they do have one guy in Las Vegas.
Yes, sir.
I'm curious.
But 2 in Las Vegas.
Category, do you guys take some mashups for the clans or no?
What do you mean by mashup?
Like Snova Fett, you can do like a...
For crossovers, this is a great question. I'm glad this may be our last question. I always tell people, don't make your Mandalorian into, let's say, a Predator. Make your Predator into a Mandalorian. You take the small themes to it and you make it Mandalorian.
Inspiration, not crossover. That's what we call it. Use inspiration, but don't do crossovers, because crossovers end up being more of a humor type costume and less seen as a professional style costume. And because we do so many professional level events, that's just, you know, we say do them for fun, but then do have your official kit as well. You know, so we're not against doing it. We just don't have it as an official kit.
Think of it. You want to walk out of with your armor kit looking like you came from the movie, and there's no such thing as a snow effect in Star Wars universe. But I understand what you're saying. I'm working on a theme. I'm working on an Oakland Raider one.
That's what I want to do.
So, but it's not gonna be provable. But it's for my own hobby. My wife's not. She's shaking her head right now. She doesn't like that at all.
Yeah, she's here, so she might kill him while he's up here.
I've done told on myself a lot. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.